SC STEM. And I'm here in my STEM lab looking at projects that I want to make. This is Lincoln, the STEM dog here. He is my trusty, handy partner. And this is the STEM lab. This is where I use all my gadgets and gizmos and exciting experiments to create projects for you. So what we're doing here is creating some projects that you can do at home. And I'll talk to you in a minute about our first project. Our goal here isn't necessarily to get you ready to take a test. Tests are important, but that's not our role here. Our role here is to get you excited about STEM, about doing really cool things with objects you can find around the house. Now let me tell you, as you saw me when you first came in, I'm working here with some cans, I'm working with some bottles, trying to come up with projects things that you have around the house you can create. Our first project here is our Rover. This is the prototype. I got a chance to build this, and what you'll see coming up in one of the videos is how to make one. So this is the prototype. So oftentimes what happens when Dr. SC STEM is working is I follow the engineering design process. The first part of which is ask, what do I want the students to be able to do? And then I sit around, me and the STEM dog, we sit around and we imagine like what kind of things would be interesting, what things are laying around the house. Then we start to plan. So I come over here, I go to my board and I start planning out things. And then I start creating the prototype. I do some experimenting with it. I work on improving. And then I'm ready to create the STEM lab project. So what we want you to do for this first project is to create a rover. Now, what are rovers used for? Well, rovers are often used on Mars. I'm sure you've heard about the Mars rover going around doing experiments on the planet. But did you know that we also have rovers that are here that we use in our cities and across our country? You'll get a chance to design your very own rover. And I'll be working hard on your next project, making things with cans and thread and pennies. Still haven't come up with it. I've already passed the ask phase. Now I'm thinking about the imagine phase. So me and STEM Dog here will sit around and keep thinking, as long as STEM Dog doesn't keep taking my supplies. I want you to think about how you can create new projects, and then we want you to tag us. And you'll see that at the end of the video when you create your rover and the new projects that'll be coming up. This is Dr. SC STEM saying fight on and look out for our videos. Here are the materials that you're going to need. 2 sheets of paper, 2 plastic bags, the kind you get from the market, 2 envelopes, 2 toilet paper rolls. If you don't have them, you can roll them yourselves about the same size, a pair of scissors, a ruler, some tape, and a pen, and your imagination. So before we get started, I'm going to show you how to fold the paper bag so that it works for this project. Normally the bag looks something like this. It doesn't have to be a Stater Brothers bag. It could be a Vaughn's bag or any other type of bag, but these are the new bags that you get from the market. They're a little bit thicker than the old ones, but it would work with one of those as well. You fold the bag in half, and then you want to fold the top part where the handle is. You want to fold it down, and then you want to fold it under, flip it, and then fold it like that. Try to get as much air out of it as possible, because as you'll see for the video, sometimes that air disrupts when we're trying to roll the bag. So now we know what we're going to make. We have our materials. So let's start by building. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to clear our workspace, and we're going to create the axles. The first axle we're going to create using the paper. We're simply just going to roll a nice little small tube out of our paper. And it doesn't really matter how thick it is, but you want it as thin as possible. And so we're gonna roll this, and I'm gonna hold it right here. I should have gotten the tape off first, but I didn't, but that's okay because we are going to work that out on the next one. All right, we're gonna put the tape here, and then we're going to put the tape here. So now we have our first axle. We're going to roll our second axle in the same way. Now, it may not be the same size. We want it as close as possible, but what we're trying here is we're just doing some experimenting to see how cool of a car we can make and how we can make revisions. Part of what we're learning here is how to be innovative, how to show ingenuity in creating something really, really cool. And again, you notice I didn't get the tape first, which I should have, but that's fine. We will just put the tape here, and we'll put the tape here. And you notice it's not as even as the first one, but that will work for our purposes. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to make sure that the axle can fit in the wheel and it can roll. If you look at it like this, it just falls to the bottom and that doesn't help it to roll. So we'll take one of the plastic bags that we've already folded up. We'll try to get as much air out of it as possible, but that'll be a little bit hard because of the way we folded it. And we will carefully roll the plastic around the axle. And what this does is it allows the axle to fit snugly inside of the wheel and allow the wheel to roll. We don't want it to be too tight. In fact, I think I made this too tight, so I'm going to roll it again. So we don't want it to be too tight because we want it to have some flexibility to roll. All right. So we're going to just roll this in here, trying to keep it as straight as possible so that it still can roll in here. And then we will insert this into the wheel. The plastic will expand and we've got a nice rolling wheel here. Right? So now we'll do the same with the other one. This one rolls too. A little bit messy, but it's fine, it rolls. So now we have our two wheels. I'm going to put those to the side, and now we're going to get ready for the sides of our car here. Now we're going to create the sides of our car. We are going to have to do some measurement. So I am going to mark off about 3/4 of an inch on one of the envelopes. Let me move this one out of the way. And 3/4 is just 3/4. So I'm going to do that. And I'm just going to draw a little line to help guide me. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other envelope. I'm just going to mark off about 3/4. And fun fact, the best way to draw a straight line is to measure twice, and then you can draw the straight line by looking directly at what your markings are. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold the envelope just right on that line. Just gonna fold it right on that line. And you don't need an envelope. You can use any cardstock or any thick paper. Regular paper doesn't work as well because it's too thin, but if you don't have regular paper, you can maybe tape 2 pieces of paper together. Alright, so I'm going to do that. So now I have folded these up like this. Now I need to cut some spaces in for the wheels, and so I want to cut them in the same place. I'm going to take for the axles of the wheel. So I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to draw a half circle. I'm just going to choose here. When you're building yours, you can put it anywhere you want. So I'm just going to make a little half circle here. Does anybody know why I made a half circle? Well, I made a half circle because if I cut it out and unfold it, it'll be a full circle. And it doesn't have to be perfect, nor do your cuts have to be perfect. So I'm going to take this And I may not even follow all along. See if you can see that there. Just gonna cut that out like this. And then I'm gonna do the same on this one. I don't know if these are gonna be too big or not, but they might not be. But it doesn't matter because we have our handy dandy tape to help us if it is too big. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stack this one, the second one, inside, and I'm going to draw the circle. And the reason why I do that is so that the holes for the wheels are in the same space for both cars. And again, as you can see, the size of the circles kind of vary a little, so I may have to make some adjustments. But that's okay, because when you're doing this, you have a chance to design it your way and to make it work the way you want it. So now we have our little holes there. They kind of like eyes a little. We have our holes there. These holes are a lot bigger. So we're going to see what happens next. I am going to take my wheel, insert it in here. Take this one, insert it in here. All right, I have that there. And I'm going to do the same. Notice they're both facing out. I'm going to insert this one in here. Insert this one in here. I have to squeeze it a little bit. These are a lot bigger than the other ones, but that's fine because I'm going to put a little tape to keep them in place. Like this. Little tape here on this side. I'll put a little tape here. Not a lot of tape, just a little tape to keep it from sliding off so that we don't waste anything. And maybe a little tape here just to keep it from sliding off. Then I'm going to turn it around. Do the same thing on the other side. Put a little tape here. And notice it comes off rather easily, which is great because that means it has lots of room to roll. And we have it there. So now we have our car. And if we want, we can add another envelope across the top. You can roll it this way. You can adjust it. If I were to lift the table up, let's see if I can do this without. There we go. You saw that. I lifted the table up. I was hoping my scissors wouldn't fall off or I wouldn't drop my camera. But see how it rolls towards you? Like that. So that is the car. Your job is to make this car, make it better, and then you can post it. The hashtag will be on the video. So this is Dr. SC STEM signing off on our homemade Rover. Alright, Dr. STEM, I'm going to race my homemade Rovers. One is the one that I built when I was figuring out the project. The other one's the one I built with you. Are you ready? I predict that they're not going to go very far on the carpet, but we'll see what happens. 1, 2, 3, go! Ha ha! Fight on!